Okay, I'm back. So, I've done this before, but I did a lot more this time. That is, I practiced a whole bunch without the camera on, which having the camera on makes everything for me a lot more fun. But also, when I'm just practicing, well, it doesn't add any stress when I'm just practicing, but practicing is the least fun part of all of this. So when I get a little tired of practicing and I think, I'm going to do my final version, and the camera's on, and you could argue I haven't really practiced enough. It's fun to have cats. Now, on some level, mentally, I know that the camera's going and I'm a little bit ill-prepared, and so I make a couple of little mistakes, and that seems to snowball into enough mistakes that I get frustrated and try again, and then I get frustrated on the second attempt and try again. That's what that last video is. If memory serves, I did a third attempt at the final attempt and made quite a few mistakes, but I've practiced a lot without the camera on. Oh, I killed a tiny spider. That was wrong. I'm sorry I did that. All right. So I'm going to make an attempt here, but I'm going to call it my final run-through practice. But if it goes well enough, I'm going to call it good. If not, I'll just immediately start again. Maybe not even stop the video from recording. Okay? So some deep breaths. All right. Here goes nothing. But it's just a practice, so no pressure. Offense is in the eye of the beholder. You can choose to shrug it off. You might not be the target of the speaker's rants and raves. Though you may scoff, like everyone, your life is hard. But you can choose to smile instead of hate. Choose gratitude to steep your heart, keep your heart a while. Despite the darkness, you can choose to look towards the light. Choose to just remember, dawn will always follow night. Ooh. from self-loathing. You can choose not to make it about you. Walk away, don't make him an offender for a word. You can't just run him through. If everybody's life is hard, then maybe to be kind is really not too much to ask. When building lives, building ties that bind, and even to the stranger there, whose face may hide some pain, your smile will cost you little and will never be in vain. That's it. Not great, not perfect, but you get the idea of how the entire song comes together. Alright, I know I'm going to want to try it again. I'm going to kill 15 seconds so I can time it this time, because we're going to be at 8 minutes in 10 more seconds. Alright, ready? 4, 3, 2. Offense is in the eye of the beholder. You can choose to shrug it off. You might not be the target of the speaker's rants and raves. Though you may scoff, like everyone, your life is hard, but you can choose to smile instead of hate. Choose gratitude to keep your heart a while. Despite the darkness, you can choose to look towards the light. Choose to just remember, dawn will always follow night. some self-loathing. You can choose not to make it about you. Walk away, don't make him an offender for a word. You can't just run him through. If everybody's life is hard, then maybe to be kind is really not too much to ask. When building lives, building ties that bind, and even to that stranger there, whose face may hide some pain, your smile will cost you little and will never be in vain. It's still almost a 5-minute song. I thought I had shortened it. Oops. Back in like the 50s and 60s, I think they carried that into the 80s at least. I think your song had to be under 3 minutes or they just wouldn't play it on the radio. So singer-songwriters or just songwriters who gave songs to people to sing, they made it 3 minutes. That was it. I don't know. I mean, I guess you just chop it up and choose your favorite parts and forget about the rest. I don't know. There's an old adage in any kind of performance is leave the audience wanting more. So if you have an extremely long song, sometimes the audience can't handle it. There's a funny scene in that movie Amadeus where Mozart wrote a really long, I don't know if it was opera or symphony or whatever it was, but the king had to have been in Austria, right? I don't know historically, but the king fell asleep during the performance, and just in the movie, who knows if this is historical, but one of the court people came to Mozart afterwards and said, you included too many notes for the royal ear. So that's probably not historically right, but I thought it was funny. But then songs come along like Bohemian Rhapsody or 2112 or these magnum opuses, however you say that. I wouldn't want to shorten that. Would you? You want to shorten Bohemian Rhapsody? Okay, you go chop that up and make it into 3 minutes. I don't even think the first part, they say it's like 3 songs altogether. I don't even think that first, with all that vocal harmony, is less than 3 minutes. Meaning, before you get to the Galileo part, kind of the real opera part. I don't even think that's less than 3 minutes. And then the Galileo part might be around 3 minutes. And then the very end where it really starts to rock is probably less than 3 minutes, but that's still a 10 or 11 minute song, I bet. We all just kind of, we allowed it into our ears and into our hearts and minds, and we learned to love it. All right. You could argue that this is a video for another time. I was going to try to make my final videos of a series kind of short, but I've been meaning to do this for a long time, and this is a good song to do it on because we have about 100 chords here. So, we're in the key of G. I put the capo on so it makes it in a different key. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but this is a G chord. My guitar is tuned to the traditional E tuning. I haven't tuned it in a while, but I'm not going to worry about that either. We'll just say that's what it is. So we're in the key of G. This is the main G chord that I use anytime I'm going to play the kind of the root chord of this key. So I'll just show you how to do that. My middle finger is on this top string in the 3rd fret. 1 fret, 2 fret, 3 fret, right? That's the 1st fret. This is just an open string. The pitch gets higher as you move up. That's a pretty obvious thing. Anyway, this is the G. But my middle finger is also resting against the A string, the 2nd lowest string. Because I don't want that to ring through. Listen how it sounds if I let it ring through. It's actually a 9th, but I don't want it there. So I let it rest. And these middle 3 strings, not exactly the middle because we have an even number of strings, but they're just open. No, they're not. Only the D string, which is the 3rd to the lowest string, is open. That's the D string. That makes this the G string, doesn't it? Thinking about it in my mind. So the 3rd to the highest string is just open, but my ring finger is on the 3rd fret of the 2nd highest string, the B string. See that? I don't know if you can see that or not. It's right there. And then my pinky is right below it. Same fret. Everything's in the 3rd fret on this chord. My pinky's on the very bottom high E string, because this is a low E string, 2 octaves below, so 16 notes below. Octagon, 8 sides, oct 8. If it's 2 octaves below, it's 16 notes below. Sorry, I was touching it. See how that's the same note? Anyway, so my pinky's down there. So that's what it sounds like. You can't really hear that because everything else is so loud. An alternative to that is all 4 fingers, so you can put your pointer finger in the 2nd fret on the A string, the 2nd string. I don't like that. In fact, the first G chord they teach you, you drop that pinky, put your ring finger where your pinky was. So high E string 3rd fret is your ring finger, right? That's the G chord they'll teach you. And again, your pointer finger's up here on the 2nd fret on the A string. So this is how it sounds. But I don't like that. I don't like to double the 3rd of the chord. I was actually taught in music theory class, you're not supposed to do that. I don't know why they teach us that. Oh, it's a G chord, is it? So let's just forget that one. If you'd like this one that I first taught you, it doesn't have the 3rd of the chord. You can't hear that in there, can you? It's not there. If you want a 3rd, put your ring finger, make your ring finger do what your middle finger was doing a second ago. 3rd fret, low E string, push in that string so you get a pitch, but rest that ring finger against the A string, the next string down. And then just put your pinky down where it would be for this chord. It sounds extremely confusing, but you do it enough times, it becomes second nature. So now we have 3 open strings, meaning there's no hand touching them. That right there's a G chord, it just doesn't have a nice low bass note. That's a G right there. See that? Only 8 notes apart. But then you add a nice high root of the chord. This is one of my favorites. They're both my favorite, but I don't know which one's my favorite. So that's another G chord. You're really just using 2 fingers, but your ring finger is kind of weak in a lot of ways, so you gotta train it to handle that. But I love that, and you'll see me in the introduction of this add these 2 fingers. We won't worry about that right now. So it starts on the G chord, goes of course to the D chord, one of the most common chords, but I would say not a very easy chord. So my middle finger is on the high E string, 2nd fret. It's the 3rd of the chord for those of you keeping track. The D string's open because it's a D chord. Why would you don't need to. Okay, your ring finger is on the 2nd string up, the B string, in the 3rd fret, in the same place it is for that G chord. You keep this right there, and then your pointer finger is on the 3rd string up, which is, did we say it's the G string? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's the G string, on the 2nd fret. Is for you to see. Anyway, it's those 3 fingers. D chord. You can easily look all this stuff up and find a chord chart, but I wanted to show you anyway. In this song, I use this. Add that 4th of the chord for a 4-3 suspension, a very fancy way of saying one of these notes is not like the others. Remember that on Sesame Street? So eventually you let that go, usually. 4-3. Don't worry about that. Sometimes you can do this too. Drop that middle finger, making a D add 9. Don't worry about that. Just the D chord. Okay, so the C chord is normally like this, but it's doubling the 3rd again. This is the C chord they'll teach you. I'm not even going to cover it because I don't like it. I like the C add 9, which is exactly like our G chord, right? Ring finger, 3rd fret, 2nd from the bottom string, pinky, 3rd fret, bottom string. But instead of being up here on the G, on the E string, creating a G, you move it down 1 string, creating a C. And then again, your middle finger's going to rest against the next string, so you can't hear that. This chord also doesn't have a 3rd, but it does have a 9th. I don't know how much to tell you about the 9th. I've already covered that in a different video, but I don't know, don't worry about it. It's a note that theoretically is 9 notes above the root of the chord. Or in other words, it's 1 note above the root of the chord. When you say it's a 9th, you're saying that it's a full octave plus 1 above the root of the chord. I don't know why they decide to do that. Maybe because they figured it sounds better if it's far away from the root of the chord, but I don't care. That's the C chord I like to do. So those are the main 3 chords, right? But I'm also doing this goofy bar chord that I might as well teach you. So your finger, the reason why it's called a bar chord is your index finger is going to bar this entire fret, or really it could bar any of the frets. So you push really hard. There's nothing that sounds like that. When you bar the whole fret, you got to push really hard. That's how it sounds. But you add these other notes which ring finger on the 3rd fret, the A string, 2nd string down from the top. That's also a power chord on your electric guitar, or you could just play it here. Alright, how's that one sound go? So anyway, and then you add your pinky right below your ring finger, same fret, but the 3rd string down. Creates that nice octave. And then your middle finger has to squish on the 4th string down on the 2nd fret. So when you push really hard, you'll notice when you're strumming a chord also your fingers can't be touching any string that they're not supposed to be touching, or watch. I'm muting that because I accidentally am touching it. It's very difficult to do a bar chord. But you can move it. Okay, there's another bar chord in this song, which is right here. So again, even though you're only playing the bottom 5 strings, which I forgot to tell you, you don't play the top string on this C chord that I like. I guess you could, it doesn't sound terrible, but I don't like it. By the same token, you're going to bar. Which fret is that? It's way up here. It's on the 3rd dot. I'm not going to count the frets. The frets. I called them threats. That was weird. But then you gotta flatten your ring finger against the next fret, which is the next dot in our case. See those dots? That's where I am. So you're gonna bar 5 strings here, and you're supposed to only be barring 3 strings here, but I never learned to do that very well, so I push really hard, and if you'll notice in the song, this is what I'm doing. So I don't have to worry about that bottom string. I don't even pluck it, because it sounds really bad. It sounds like it's a 6th. It's kind of fun, but not when you're singing something that's going to fight with that 6th. So anyway, so that's another chord that we're doing. Different kind of bar chord. Doesn't involve this string. I guess it could, huh? No, I'm playing it in the wrong place. It should be here. Oh, that's right. No, it's not. Let's try it in the song, shall we? Where does it happen? When words come from self-loathing. Yeah, I was playing it in the wrong place. It's actually a half step lower, so we're right kind of between those dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on the 6th fret. It's not that hard, I guess, to count. See, it's really hard. And then I come down to the C chord. So that's those chords. Oh, you'll see me do a 1st inversion D chord. Remember when you turn the chord upside down, all of a sudden instead of the 1 note being on the bottom, you have the 3 note on the bottom. Instead of the 1st being on the bottom, which it is here, see how those sound the same, but it's got an extra note. I don't know what the note is. I'm not going to take the time to learn it or figure it out. So I love this. It goes really well with the G chord. You'll see me play that. Right? Or so my index finger, 2nd fret, top string, and I'm gonna mute the next string again because it's not a note I want. I guess we could leave it, but I don't like it. I don't like a low goofy thing. I don't like it, so I play it with my finger pushing the top string but resting against the 2nd from the top. My middle finger is on the 3rd from the bottom, 2nd fret. My ring finger is on the 4th from the bottom, 3rd fret. And I like to try to let the high E string ring out open. Sometimes I probably am accidentally resting against it. So it's a 9th. It's a 1st inversion D chord with a added 9th. And then, oh, remember the C chord? Well, if you put your pointer finger 1 fret down on the 2nd fret and do exactly the same thing, you're going to rest it against the next string, the 3rd string down. You've got a 1st inversion G chord. So you can really hear it here. If you play the G chord like this, and then go to the, you can hear how instead of having the bass note, the root of the chord, the 1st note, the 1 note in the bass, you're gonna 1, 2, 3. So I use that chord in this too. I think that's all the chords. In fact, that should sound familiar to you if you're old enough. That's the beginning of More Than Words. That's how I learned it. I didn't know those chords existed till Nuno Bettencourt played them, and I went, oh, look what he's doing. Should sound familiar. That's a very famous song. One of my favorite bands. So, that's enough of a goofy lesson on chords, isn't it? Are we good? Looking across here, I don't think there are any more chords. Oh yeah, there is. There's the 2 chord. So, kind of on the fly, I came up with this oohing part. It just came to me. And I love a descending chord progression. It's still descending even though I have to come up here. So, da, go down again. Da, 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 da. That's the A chord, or the 2 chord. Back to the 5 chord. Da, da. So the A chord is right here. Middle finger on the 3rd string down, 2nd fret. Ring finger on the 4th string down, 2nd fret. And then you've got your pointer finger on the 2nd from the bottom string, 1st fret. A minor chord, but it's the 2 chord in our thing. This is the 1 chord. Go up 1 note, right? That's the 2 chord. We don't use the 3 chord, but it would be right here. We do use the 4 chord. It's one of the most popular chords. We do use the 5 chord. We don't use the 6 chord, but we do use the flatted 6. So it should just be 1/2 step up. We don't use the normal 7 chord, but we lowered it 1/2 step, so I call it a flatted 7 chord. And we're back to the 8 chord, or in other words, the 1 chord. So, very popular chord progression. I love that so much. So I try to keep things simple, but I love a lot of these other chords. I love the 6 chord, but we're not using that. What would that be? Oh yeah, we do. I forgot we use the 6 chord. So that's one of the most popular, simplest chords. Your middle finger's on the 2nd string down, 2nd string from the top, 2nd fret, so 2-2, right? Your ring finger's going to be on the 3rd string down, still 2nd fret, and everything else is open. You're going to strum every single string. If you have an electric guitar, you can just do it with one finger and rest against that. A really powerful, strong, awesome chord that everyone loves on the electric guitar, but it's cool on this guitar too. There's the major, but this is the minor. Alright, that's enough for now. Next time you see me, we'll be starting on a new song. Thanks for tuning in. Until the next time.